Test, test.
We're okay. We're on the air.
What's the music?
Good.
Please turn the phones off.
Yeah, phones and music done. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, 2024, and show the time is 9:31 a.m. And the meeting, I see we do have a quorum, and the meeting is called to order. First, we'll have Director Bada lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand, everybody. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, let me acknowledge the presence of the media. And are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? I believe we have one.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move on the consent calendar, move the committee appointments to letter C of unfinished business.
Okay. And then I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of May 7th and May 16th. Are there any objections to those minutes, changes? Hearing none, there is the approval of the minutes is approved. Minutes are approved. Okay, we'll move on to the report of the chair. And first, let me just thank Juanita, the first vice president, Juanita Skillman. Okay, almost forgot your name for a minute. For sitting in for me in several meetings. I've got some personal challenges at home, and she's been, and in fact, the entire community, entire board has been very, very supportive in my effort, especially Juanita, who has sat in for many of the meetings. I have been able to chair a lot of the meetings, and I've always attended the meetings, but on occasion I'm not able to sit in the chair. And I may attend remotely. But I really do appreciate Juanita stepping in. In fact, this meeting, I was intending also to have Juanita sit in, but there are things have developed over time. And I just wanted to make the announcement that on May 31st, 2024, the third board held an open meeting which was advertised to elect 2 VMS representatives for their board, for the VMS board. Also in that title was to perform some administrative actions. On page 2 was a non-VMS selection related item, number 14, to call a special corporate meeting, and upon closer look at the detail, and some administrative actions, what was described as some administrative actions, was a vote to remove the GRF board president without cause, as well as Yvonne Horton. The president is Jim Hopkins, that's me. Yvonne Horton. Both of us are significant contributors to this board. I'm ITAC chair, which is the ERP installation, space planning, as well as several other key, obviously as president, key parts of this board. Yvonne Horton, whose background is significant, is also the chair of the Maintenance and Construction Committee, as well as on the space planning, and also chair of the CAC, also known as Community Activities Committee. 2 critical positions within our board. Experienced board leaders. The board will be considerably weaker without our experienced, effective leadership. The meeting was called, since the timing of the recall meeting is basically 8 months after the first recall, actually 2 attempts to recall, which cost us a few thousands of dollars in legal expense because the third board did not do it in the appropriate legal manner, didn't understand what the rules were. So they have swung the bat a second time or a third time without cause, and we still don't understand or know the cause, all right? But I can tell you at the VMS meeting to select 2 VMS representatives, there were only 2 folks in that audience. That was an open meeting, by the way, 2 folks in that audience. It was myself and the United Board president. I found it interesting that no one was there. I also found it very interesting that the only other person was United Board president. But more than that, the only reason I came, because I was actually looking at the selection. I am part of third, by the way. I was looking at the selection process, and I was hearing some answers that were troubling to me. I was actually looking at my TV on the internet. And so I decided to come up here. And then before I came, I started to look at the agenda, and that's when I found out that that's what was on the agenda. I did not make any comments on any of those things at the agenda. But this is the third time, okay? And what I observed was that the vote came up. It was, are there any questions? No. And then there was a vote. I don't know how you discuss matters of that important, not in an open meeting. Have an open meeting where the agenda, other administrative items, is somewhat clandestine. That's a problem for our community. It's not just a problem for me. That's a problem for our community. And this type of underhanded activity, okay, and I'm going to say it out loud, has been pretty common with that particular board. Now, this process will take its own, will take place, and it will go through the process. All right. But it does smack of a very secretive type of operation within that board structure. Okay. Like I said, the third time the recall, the first time was myself and Bunny Carpenter. You didn't know because they didn't do it correctly. And it cost us, we took our attorney to correct their mistakes in doing it appropriately. That's unheard of. And I think I'm really going to call, I'd like to call this out in another way. This will be unique. I'm going to challenge the third board, the entire third board, to debate in an open forum with me all of the issues that they think they have with myself and Yvonne Horton and or Bunny Carpenter, who's no longer on the board. I'm not sure what the motivations are. No, only third understands what the motivations are. But I can tell you, whatever they are, the way it's being done can destroy the way this community operates. And so with that, I will go to the CEO report.
Honorable President, members of the board, members of the audience, it's my privilege this morning to provide a key update on the key topics in our community. To start, I'm ask you to please join me in congratulating Jeff Spies on his promotion from supervisor to manager of the Community Services Division. Jeff came to VMS in 2022, from Talon Computer Associates Incorporated, where he served as a senior developer manager for 21 years. Since joining VMS, Jeff quickly grasped the complexities of the village and has provided productive, innovative, and cost savings solutions. Jeff is approaching his new role with a steady, unwavering eye toward customer service, commitment, and excellence. Once again, please join me in congratulating Jeff as he assumes his new role, and thank retiring manager Pamela Bashline, who has served this community with dedication and tireless commitment for decades. I also want to remind our residents that they are now able to apply for full-time VMS open positions. To identify positions that may be suitable, visit lagunawoodsvillage.com, scroll to the site's footer, and click on Careers. This is a recent change, and again, residents are now available to apply for full-time positions. I also want to mention that the annual mutual elections are open. Nominations are now open for seats on United and Third Mutual Boards of Directors for the 2024 annual election. Applications are available from the General Manager's office located in the Community Center. Please check with the Community Center front desk concierge, who will notify the corporate secretaries that you wish to obtain election documents. United Mutual has 4 open positions with terms ending in 2027. The submission deadline for United is Friday, June 28th by 5 p.m. Third Mutual has 3 open positions with terms ending in 2027. The submission deadline is Wednesday, July 3rd by 5 p.m. The 2025 reservation lottery is also underway. This is your chance to secure a venue for your special occasions next year. You can get lottery cards in the Recreation office or email your requests to recreation@vmsinc.org. The lottery info and venue availability includes the following: 1 event per card or request, and 4 card limit per club or manor. Clubhouses 1, 2, 5, and 7 are open daily from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and the Performing Arts Center, Clubhouse 3, is open for limited hours. Follow the submission guidelines and return completed lottery cards or requests to the Recreation office by 5 p.m. on Monday, June 17th. I want to mention that the operational performance review of the Landscaping Services Department is underway. This is being conducted by Monarch Environmental Incorporated with objectives to identify and report areas of inefficiency and ineffectiveness within the department, to pinpoint cost savings opportunities, and to determine ways to enhance resident satisfaction with this key service. Regular updates will be provided at the various landscape committee meetings. As a reminder, residents may learn to use village tech tools, including Dwelling Live, the resident portal, the PAC ticket portal, and recreation applications by attending classes offered by the PC Club. Visit thepcclub.org to view the upcoming classes and register. The next Village Tech Tools class is Wednesday, July 19th at 1 p.m. And I'd like to conclude my presentation this morning by celebrating resident services for the incredible month it had serving our community in April. In April, resident services handled more than 8,700 calls and achieved an all-time high with a 91% answer rate and average hold time of only 53 seconds. This is the best statistics in the division's history, and this is attributable not only to continuous staff training, but the new callback feature that we've introduced where residents can leave their callback number and maintain their space in line and be contacted by resident services. This avoids multiple calls because people don't like being placed on hold, and it's making a huge difference. So again, I want to celebrate resident services for their excellent month of April, and hopefully we'll share similar statistics from May. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you.
Are there any comments or relative to CEO report?
Congratulations on the resident services.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I can tell you from my experience that VMS and, in particular resident services has always been on a continuous improvement program since I've been here. They're fortunate also enough to have the IT director responsible for resident services, so he's always looking and creating opportunities using technology. And I just want to transition into the fact that we're moving into ERP. The ERP is still up, and what ERP means is Enterprise Resource Planning System. That is a complete rewrite of all of our processes using the cloud and the newest technology. It's a long process to implement, to design and implement, but once implemented, we'll have the opportunity to take advantage of that software and process, which will give us more opportunity to increase the service level to the residents. So it's not necessarily simple or easy to get substantial increase in service level, because I think at 91%, it's pretty difficult to improve on that. But I think the ERP and the future systems will support that improvement overwhelmingly. So thank you very much. So next, we'll move to the open forum. And at this time, the members only may address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors. The Board reserves the right to limit the amount of time allotted for an open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people, and there should be no audio or video recording by attendees. And please refrain from any rude and or threatening comments. Members can also attend the meeting via Zoom or by calling 669-900-6833 or by emailing meeting@vmsinc.org and then have your message read during the open forum. So are there any speakers for the open forum?
Yes, we have a few in person, and then we have, I believe, 2 that emailed in, 2 or 3. So the first in person is D. Tucker.
Good morning. I live at 252D. I'm a woman in my 70s who moved here 10 years ago for the amenities, for the community feel, and for the safety. I live in absolutely the best cul-de-sac in the village with the most awesome neighbors and the most glorious trees. I realized that I needed a purpose after I came here, and so on a bus orientation, I found the library. I started volunteering at the library. And you know, we do great work there. Last week, a woman said to me, "You saved my life during the pandemic because we allowed people to reserve books and we put them outside for them to pick up." She said, "Thank you." Soon, I found another place to volunteer, the PC Club. I've been in this building upstairs for 9 years. My task is to welcome people, welcome residents, and assist them in accomplishing what they need, like scanning their real estate documents, or printing their airline boarding pass, or moving all those photos they keep in a shoebox to a digital flash drive. Just a few weeks after I moved in, I got a ticket for not stopping at a stop sign. I decided to appeal, so I came here all dressed and with a prepared speech. And to my surprise, they had a video. So my speech went right out the window, but I said, perhaps I could just get a warning since I'm new here. And a man sitting there yelled at me and said, "This is not let's make a deal, woman." So I was humiliated. I am pretty proud of my volunteer work in the village. I feel like that I contribute to the well-being of residents. Yet I'm definitely disappointed that fellow residents like me who have been elected to be board of directors, many I voted for, did not attempt to understand the important work of the PC Club, nor were there any fact-finding conversations before the proposals were completed. 2 directors did make appointments and come to the PC Club, and you know what? They did all the talking and very little listening. Today, we are honoring our past president and conducting an open house. So I invite each of you to ascend the elevator to the 3rd floor and see the PC Club's two rooms, a classroom and a workshop, and hear what we do. I invite you, especially CEO Foster. I know you come to the 3rd floor to be on Channel 6. Make a right at the hall and come down and see us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Mike Roth.
You almost got that right. It's Rao, Mike Rao. My talk is just about 3 minutes long, and I'll read to keep it to that limit. Honored board members, I'm Mike Rao. I'm a homeowner for 1 year in the village. I noticed that several of you have technical backgrounds, so perspective that may be helpful to you. I'm a mathematician. I have a PhD from Stanford University in mathematics, and I've worked at research laboratories like HP Labs, Stanford, the USGS, and others. I've also been a professor of mathematics. I want you to know about a looming threat to Laguna Woods. I'm alarmed by aggressive maneuvering of the Orange County Power Authority, OCPA, OCPA, targeting the Laguna Woods City Council. I'm referring to their deceptive sales campaign that began at Laguna Woods Concerned Citizen Club on April 2nd, 2024, and on Earth Day, April 18th. Concerned citizens, in turn, arranged to have OCPA make their sales pitch to OCPA's intended audience, the Laguna Woods City Council, on May 15th. There, OCPA's declared objective is to get merely 3 council votes, which would be sufficient to force all the residents and businesses of Laguna Woods community into paying them for managing the delivery of their electricity. Imagine that. But OCPA is a new company, a 3-year-old startup with an already troubled past, millions of dollars in fines by the California Public Utilities Commission, an FBI investigation, and a large loss of individual and city customers. There are enough warning signs for the City Council to drop this matter. Here's an example of a lure OCPA puts out. They have claimed they will deliver clean, renewable energy to your business or residence. This is patently absurd. Edison, like them or not, is the service provider who delivers your energy, and you will get whatever Edison delivers on their wires, no matter whether or not OCPA takes over. OCPA does not produce or move energy. They move and trade paper. They are middlemen in the huge and complex market of electric power. If OCPA is allowed to take over, then the city and all the residents will be forced to pay them for electricity, and according to their contract, they will be permitted to raise their rates at will at any time. Edison is regulated and cannot do that. OCPA is not regulated, and by their contract, they are permitted to increase their rates at will. They conceal their trading practices. You can't even know whether their trades result in more or less renewable energy on the grid. I ask you to look into this to protect our interests, and you to urge the City Council to drop the matter, or at least postpone a decision until we residents, you at the GRF, and council members and their small staff have taken the time for the necessary due diligence. Thank you.
What is the name of that group again?
The Orange County Power Authority. otherwise known as OCPA.
And that's a private entity, right, is what you're saying?
It's a not-for-profit.
Not-for-profit, but
It's a not-for-profit,
Okay.
but they have amassed a huge reserves in a short amount of time.
Okay, thanks.
Next speaker is Vicki Johnson.
Hi, good morning. I'm Vicki Johnson, a new Laguna Woods resident, and I'm here for two reasons. Also to alert you about the Orange County Power Authority, and also to talk about this organization soliciting here at Laguna Woods Village. So why is OCPA, the Orange County Power Authority, why are they interested in Laguna Woods? I estimate $10 to $20 million is involved. That's about an estimate of what we pay for electricity generation, the entire city, $10 to $20 million per year. And Orange County Power Authority, this is one of their brochures, they do a lot of marketing, they want to be the middleman. They want to take half of your Southern California Edison bill and divert it to them. And as the previous speaker said, they're just traders in the wholesale electricity market. Now, you can watch a talk given April 2nd by concerned citizens. It's supposed to be about climate change. And you can watch an affiliate of the Orange County Power Authority direct very specifically the audience to support adopting OCPA. So at that meeting, the speaker, who is from an organization paid by the Orange County Power Authority, had several slides how Laguna Woods can join OCPA. They discussed each council member, and they said, we're going to talk about how you can make this happen. They presented specific steps and a roadmap for City Council to follow. And like all good marketing organizations, there's a deadline. And what they said was, we're going to talk about how y'all can make this happen. We need 3 City Council votes. We don't need 5. We just get to 3 and we're done. And we let the other 2 City Council people, they just talk about what they want. We need 3. OCPA will aggressively pursue City Council. We lived in Irvine in 2022 when OCPA began service. Right away, they got in trouble with, as he said, investigations by a grand jury, the FBI. They lost half their customers. They can charge millions for a city to exit. So OCPA presented to City Council on May 15th. I and others opposed. You could watch that May 15th Laguna Woods City Council video and see them in action and try to see us speak up. So I'm asking you, please, if you can, talk to City Council. This is complex, risky. It requires all of us to be diligent and vigilant and make sure that they don't just get those 3 City Council members to sign up. That's all they want to do. So I have more information if anyone wants more. I have a lot more to say. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Next speaker is Carol Moore.
Good morning. It seems that not everyone understands the role of GRF and its purpose. In the very beginning, there was a requirement that Ross Cortese have a separate entity to ensure the amenities were constructed and maintained as part of the government loan agreement. And that demand forced the creation of GRF. You're well aware of this, I'm sure. In addition to recreation facilities, GRF is also is responsible for major community infrastructure such as roads and bridges and all the equipment to mow the lawns, maintain the community, as managed by GRF through the trust agreement. The original trust agreement of 1964 included the shared cost concept, establishing the precedent, and it also is mentioned in your GRF operating rules. To change the shared cost concept would require a vote of the community, of the entire community. There are only 2 other communities in the state of California that are managed the same as Laguna Woods Village, and they too have a GRF as well as the trust facilities fee. That fee was reestablished by a special bill that allows the collection of funds through sale of property by only the 3 former Leisure World communities, and those funds can be used for the recreation facilities. I thank you for volunteering for GRF, and also thanks to GRF for the outstanding Memorial Day program. Clubhouse 3 was full. There was positive feedback, a wonderful introduction by Juanita, very well done, and performance of the boys choir. That type of program helps to create a sense of community and conveys the importance and value of GRF, and I thank you.
Next speaker is James Tung.
Good morning. My name is James Tung. Long time ago, I used to be a certain mutual board director. Well, I am always concerned about, the people's comfortableness in our residents' comfortableness in our community. Now, I don't play table tennis or go to the computer room in our third floor community center very often. However, I talk to so many people, a lot of Chinese. Because I don't see the agenda, so I don't know the item I mentioned is on the agenda or not. But anyway, I want to reflect probably more than 90% of the Chinese residents here that when they play the ping pong or go to computer room, so convenient. They said, if GRF is gonna move those ping pong room to outside the community, that really interfere their convenience or comfortableness, because we are old. We get used to what we have. And if you have to move them outside our community, that's really, really interfere their convenience. So I strongly reflecting the almost 100% of the Chinese residents here that please do not move ping pong playroom away from the community's third floor community center. So it's computer room. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Catherine Freshley.
Good morning. I'm Catherine Freshley, a 30-year resident of this community. And as many of you may know, I participated in the board activity for 9 years. And I want to thank you for the service because I know how much time it takes and the dedication to support us. But I understand GRF recently received a letter asking for a corporate members meeting to recall 2 GRF directors. It is unfortunate because it demonstrates a lack of understanding of GRF and the governing structure required by the federal government. When this community was being developed, the U.S. government provided much of the funds. In order to ensure that the promised amenities and community infrastructure would be completed, the federal government required the GRF Trust be created. At that time in the 60s, there were many communities being developed or being started throughout the country, and they were never finished, or the infrastructure were never completed. The trust requires the Golden Rain Foundation board. You act as trustors of this trust to ensure the services required to operate the community, including security, bus services, maintenance of all administration and maintenance of operating and recreation facilities. The trust also requires GRF to provide services to the housing mutuals for maintenance of their housing and the cul-de-sacs. According to the trust, all equipment is owned by GRF and purchased with the capital provided through the annual GRF capital budget. In addition, the GRF Trust facilities fee is collected at the change of ownership of each housing unit as for capital for the maintenance and improvement of all operating and recreation facilities. And you heard Carol before, we're one of 3 organizations in the state that's allowed to have the trust facilities fee. There are some community board members who want to change the shared cost to operate the recreation and amenity facilities because many residents do not wish to participate in the activities. However, the 1964 trust and the corresponding operating rules clearly call for equal sharing of the costs to provide the community amenities. What about changing the trust? A significant change to the trust cannot be done by the corporate board members. It would require approval of all trustees, 12,736 owners of the housing units. Let's not end up in court. Thank you.
And then final in-person speaker is Ed Frasler.
Good morning. I am Ed Frazier. I am here to ask you to reconsider your recent decision to change all the TV channels in the community center fitness room. I usually go there 3 times a week. I'm a regular user and have been for several years. I feel that watching the channels during my workout does in fact enhance my experience, and it certainly does relieve some of the tedium. The newsletter channels came as a complete surprise to me and the others. All of the channels that I watched during the workout, including my favorite, were all gone. I am not happy with the new channels, and I'm not alone. There is, in fact, widespread dislike of the new channels, as evidenced in the numerous letters to the Globe, letters to the editor in the Globe recently. There have also been negative comments expressed to the members of the staff on site. They have kept record of this, and the last time I looked, the comments currently are running at about 2 to 1 against the new channels. I looked into this decision by the board, and I found out that a 28-day period was set aside for residents to respond, but there was no notification at all to those of us who actually use the facility. With no notification, there can be no response, and there wasn't. The whole intent of this 28-day period was defeated, and you folks on the board received no feedback from us. So I'm asking you to reconsider this whole decision. I think it was a bit hasty and unfortunately based on a few over-dramatized complaints and maybe a real misunderstanding of the other experience of the TV sets in the Clubhouse One drop-in lounge. Also, some well-intentioned but poor choices of the new channels was made. So this time, please welcome and actually seek out some response from the actual users of the fitness room, and I believe we can certainly help improve the situation. Thank you very much.
And then we have 2 letters that we'll be reading. Paul's going to read one, and then I'll read the other.
Okay. The foundation report to Laguna Woods Village boards. Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here with an update on the work of the foundation of Laguna Woods Village on behalf of village residents experiencing temporary financial crisis. Together, the foundation and village clubs can make a difference. The foundation of Laguna Woods Village welcomes the opportunity to work with the village clubs to engage residents in good neighbor activities that will strengthen our sense of a shared community. We can make our great neighborhood even greater. Submit a proposal, join the foundation, and make a difference in our village. By sponsoring a new activity that reflects and reinforces the spirit of Good Neighbor Day, village clubs can make a difference in strengthening our sense of community, which became somewhat frayed during the pandemic. Foundation funds will help support such club activities that brings residents/neighbors together in a positive way. The extensive network of village clubs can play a critical role in this effort. by hosting new activities in honor of National Good Neighbor Day, September 28th, 2024. Neighbors can be any village residents, not just someone who lives near you, but activities must be undertaken in the month of September 2024. Consider how your club can reach out to engage less connected individuals who may benefit from social interaction. Clubs are invited to consider get to know your neighbor, social events, neighbor charity drives, neighbor food exchanges, lunches or dinners provided by neighbors, a buddy conversation bench, or regular buddy walks, to name a few. The recent Community Bridge Builders One Song 300 Voices event in March is a good example of a community-wide good neighbor event. The short application for participating in this effort is tinyurl.com/LWV neighbor. Using funds for a social bequest to encourage participation, the foundation anticipates that the 5 villages clubs will be awarded up to $500 each. This outlay of funds can reap great rewards for the village residents. Make your club the star of this effort. Only village clubs approved by Recreation Department may apply. The submission deadline is June 28th, 2024. Applications can be submitted to the foundation at comline.com. For questions about your mini proposal, please contact the foundation at comline.com or 949-268-2246. We look forward to your participation and great ideas. Together we can make a difference.
And then I was requested to read this at today's meeting from President Hopkins. It's from Steve Stanfill. And he said, on behalf of myself and several friends in the community, I just wanted to take a moment of your time to say thank you, and thanks to all of the other GRF board members who supported and passed the recent changes to the Community Fitness Center television schedule. This is a significant improvement for the Community Fitness Center. I have lived in the community for 11 years and go to the fitness center approximately 3 or 4 times a week. It's important for spaces like the fitness centers to be inclusive and welcoming to all members, and minimizing distractions or content that could potentially cause division is a great step in that direction. Quite often, people were debating, arguing, or simply monopolizing some of the equipment due to the very distracting news broadcasting. It's always heartening to see community efforts making a difference, and I believe this change is a positive step in the right direction. Again, many thanks to you and the other board members who supported this change. And that's all for open forum.
Thank you. Are there any responses? We've got several issues here, so are there any responses to members' comments?
There's me.
Yvonne?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank all the speakers. They were very articulate. I recommend that everybody use the library and the PC Club. They do really good works up there. Thank you. And also, thank you for the 2 people that brought this OCPA to our attention. I really appreciate it. And to the people that support GRF, thank you for your comments. Now, I'm the chair of CAC. We've had problems with the TVs and people arguing, not only in the gym, but over in the open space, or the open place, whatever it's called, over at Clubhouse 1.
Coffee room.
The coffee room, yeah, okay. And this was our answer to that. Make the TVs, non-argumentative. This is the time where emotions are high because of the elections that are coming up. Anyway, that's why we chose that. Also, this issue came up 2 months in a row at CAC before it was elevated to the GRF board. I recommend everybody stay involved and informed. The agendas are on what's up in the village, they're posted all over the place. So I recommend that you stay involved and you start reading. If you're interested in something that's going on, you need to stay informed. That's all I can say. And as for the TVs, and when it came to GRF, before it went on 28 days, it still was on the GRF agenda for 2 months before we made a final vote. Okay? So all I can say is stay informed. And I just don't want people arguing at the gyms or at the drop-in lounge. There's the word I was looking for. I just don't want them to do that. But if you feel so inclined, you need to come to the CAC meeting and make your pitch, so to speak. That's all I have to say. Again, thank you to all the speakers.
Morning, Jim.
Welcome, Martin.
Thank you. Sorry.
Glad you could attend.
Thank you. I was dialed in, wasn't I? Did we do the 28-day request for comment prior to the change of the channels?
You tell me.
We did do that, right?
Yeah, read it.
Okay. Just one other question. On the Clubhouse 1 renovation, are there plans to put monitors in the workout rooms? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all.
Are there any other comments? Egon?
Yeah, I got comments on several. So first, I'd like to thank Mr. Raw and Ms. Johnson for bringing that item to our attention. A year and a half or 2 years ago, they changed the garbage collection system to something that came from the state without notifying us. It's incredible the city council doesn't notify people in this community of things that affect them. I still own the house where I came from, and that county, every time they have a meeting on garbage or water distribution costs, they send me a letter, even though I'm 200 miles away. And I think it would be very nice if the council would do the same thing for us. As for the type of service that this OCPA is selling, I think it's perfectly okay if they want to sign up individual people that want to use their services. The business model has been around forever. It's like there you could buy cheap telephone services that go through the AT&T lines, and what you got is you got poor service, but you got cheaper price. But the city council should let us know, and we should not, let them pass this and set yet another middleman into our electrical costs, especially since most of us are an electricity-only thing, which is very difficult for us. So thank you for that. And I do have comment about the TV for the gym because I do use it. And I thought when we left the matter the last time, we decided on certain things that were, and the news channels would be included because they're meaningful, okay? And we have committees. We have a department that is in charge of violations of rules and things. I think what we need to do is we need to call out the troublemakers. If there are people that want to be argumentative, they're just banned from the gym. That's the normal way we handle transgressions, not screw everybody for the sake of two people that are arguing over something.
It was only 2.
Huh?
I said, if it was only 2.
Well, if it's 10, then, whatever it is. We have no problem when compliance wants to get after an individual citizen because the plumber that goes to the community breaks a rule unknown to the member, and the member's responsible. So if a member messes up in the gym, get rid of them, and that's it. And let the people that are peaceful and want to see news, see news. Thank you.
Okay. let's cut the side conversations over there. Hey, Egon, we've got a meeting going on, please, thank you. Are there any more responses to member comments? Okay, well, I have a few. First, let me thank Dee for bringing up the benefits of the library, and I might add the History Center over there. Also, I had a similar experience with running a stop sign about 8 years ago, and pretty much were told the same thing. And I can tell you who it was that told me that, but I'm not going to mention any names. But essentially, they showed me a video. So being the person that I am, but prior to there, I actually came and took videos myself at that particular stop sign, and saw that most people kind of ran the stop sign, some more than others. And I realized before I went in there with my defense that I was guilty. And everybody else being guilty didn't make me not guilty. So it was enlightening to see myself in your experience, see myself in your experience. So thank you. We do want to look into this OCPA thing. It's news to us. As far as Catherine Fleshley and Carol Moore, thank you for educating us on the trust fund or the community, which is one of the reasons when people apply for the GRF board, we ask them a lot of trust and organization questions, because that is really understanding the structure here, why it is what it is key to managing this community. Without that structure, it starts to tear down. That is the structure that provides for this community. So it is critical, and I just thank you for bringing it up again. And I believe it's part and parcel of a lack of understanding of that role and responsibility is part and parcel of what's going on regarding the recall. All right, but that'll play out. The other is just a comment on the fitness center. The fitness center is for fitness. The entertainment there is to make it easier and more pleasant for you to go through your routines. So when that becomes the center of attention, and I should say dissension, then it is a distraction to what the main goal is of that facility and amenity. And so you can disagree with how the board wanted to deal with it, but it is an inclusive way to say everybody's welcome. Just we don't need a catalyst to all the controversy that's going on within the community, and I dare say the country. So that was our way of dealing with it. That is inclusive. Doesn't eliminate anybody, bad actors, because there's bad actors on any side. We just want to eliminate the controversy, and those who want to perform their fitness routines in peace, they can go there and do that. That's what that's about. It's the others. So, but thank everybody for your comments. And are there any more? Okay, with that, I believe we are at a good break point to before going to the consent calendar. We have with us today, the city manager, Macon, and he was scheduled to speak with us at 10:30. It's now 10:25, so I think we can do that early. And he's going to speak to us about the general plan and zoning code project that recently was looked at at the city council. So with that, Mr. Macon, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. Before I start on this, I just wanted to make a quick note. I was notified as I walked in that there was some conversation about the Orange County Power Authority this morning.
Yeah, we didn't want to catch you by.
No, just to be completely clear, all the city council did was receive an informational presentation. There was no action taken. There was no action even agendized. It was just 10-minute presentation from the Orange County Power Authority on who they are and what they do. So just to dissuade any ideas that the city was moving in that direction, it was informational only. And obviously, if there's any further action on that subject, we'll make sure we keep you in the loop and notify you as well. So having said that, I just wanted, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Chris Macon. I have had the pleasure for the last 17 years of working for the city of Laguna Woods, the last 10, almost 11 as your city manager. Today, I've been asked to talk about our general plan and zoning code update project. This is a project that's been in the works for some time, but I wanted to start with just a couple of pieces of background information to make sure we were all on the same page. Michaela, do I just let you know when I want to? Thank you. If we can go to the next slide. Wanted to start with two kind of foundational background pieces here. The first is what zoning is. Zoning is one of the primary responsibilities of any city. It is essentially the what can go where of government. So it's a requirement vested in us by state law. We are required to designate the proposed general distribution and general location and extent of the uses of land in the city. And that's specific to both public and private property. So prior to this community even being built, it was zoned at that point by the County of Orange. In 1999, when the city incorporated, the city became responsible for zoning. So it's certainly not something that's new. And anywhere that you lived before you moved to Laguna Woods, you lived in property that was zoned for some purpose. It obviously allowed residential because that's where you were eating and sleeping. But zoning is not necessarily a one and done, there's only a single use that's allowed type of concept. Cities typically create zoning districts that allow for a range of compatible uses within those zones. So for instance, the building that we're in right now is zoned community commercial, which allows for a range of commercial uses, everything from retail to restaurants to office space like it's used for now, and of course the community facilities type amenities you have in this building. So, zoning is something that exists across the state. It's not unique to Laguna Woods, and it does apply to all property, public and private. We have a legal obligation to establish zoning for everything inside the city. Next slide, Michaela. The second concept I wanted to touch on was what you've probably heard referred to as RHNA, or the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. This is also a statewide process, not unique at all to Laguna Woods. It results in every city, and in areas where there is no city, every county in California being allocated a certain number of new housing units that those cities are required to establish zoning to allow for the construction of. So it doesn't require cities to build housing. It in fact doesn't require private property owners to build housing. All it requires is that the city provide opportunities for as many units as each city has been allocated to be built in the city if a developer and private property owner saw that, to be the best use of their property. So this process, I'm going to talk in this presentation a little bit about our obligations under state housing law. I'm really referring to the RHNA process and our obligation as a city to provide for the potential future construction of new housing units. But again, nobody's requiring anybody to do anything. It just creates an opportunity for private property owners to build housing if they would like to. Next slide, please. So this story of how we got here actually starts back in 2003. In 2003, to meet the city's RHNA obligations, Garden Center 1 was zoned to allow for the construction of housing. So it's zoned for what the code refers to as high-density residential. Back in the day, that may have been an appropriate title for it. It's in fact much lower density than what we consider high density today. But in any case, the city was assigned a number of new housing units that we had to allow the potential future construction of. And the decision was made in 2003 to zone the Garden Center property on Moulton Parkway to allow for that construction of housing. Now, you may notice that that property has no housing on it right now. That is, again, because there was never a requirement for anybody to build housing. The city merely had to provide the opportunity for housing to be constructed. I want to note that that decision to zone Garden Center 1 for potential future housing was made prior to my tenure and prior to the tenure of every member of the existing Laguna Woods City Council. Predates us all. I don't have a whole lot of insight into how that came to be, but 2003 is where we start today's story. Next slide. In 2014, the Golden Rain Foundation Board requested that a total of 8 parcels within Laguna Woods Village be rezoned for open space purposes. That included Garden Center 2 and a variety of other properties in the city. The City Council received that request and approved GRF's requested zone changes in 2015. At that time, there was a desire to rezone Garden Center 1 to open space as well. But again, because of our obligations under state housing law, because of that RENA requirement, we weren't able to make that zone change at the time. So 8 properties went from being various different zoning designations to becoming open space in nature. Next slide. So in 2023, just last year, the City Council adopted a new plan for how it will comply with state housing law. And that new plan did not require the use of Garden Center 1 for potential future property or any other property within Laguna Woods Village. That opened up the door for Garden Center 1 to be rezoned for open space and for that housing designation to be removed from it. So that was a result of a change in philosophy, a change in planning that led us to what GRF was meaning to do in 2014. Next slide. So the project I'm here to talk about today, this general plan and zoning code update project, it does a lot of things, but putting them in kind of 3 buckets of actions. The first has to do with land use and zoning actions that are required to comply with state housing law, again, the RENA process. All of those changes, and it affects a total of 17 properties, all of those are outside of Laguna Woods Village. So that first bucket really doesn't apply directly to any Laguna Woods Village property. The second type of action that's included in this project are land use and zoning actions to better represent existing zoning. Some of those occur within Laguna Woods Village. Not all of them occur within Laguna Woods Village. I'm going to touch on the specific relationship to GRF property in a moment. And then the third is updates of 3 elements of the city's general plan. A general plan is a document required by state law. It sets forth the city's long-term development plan, and it touches on a variety of subjects, but the 3 that we're proposing to update as part of this project are circulation, that has to do with transportation, traffic, parking, those sorts of things. Land use, which is again the what can go where part of this. And then noise. There's some obligations under state law for us to analyze our proposed land use plan in the context of how noise from transportation-related sources affects it. So we're planning to make those changes. Next slide. But the only one that actually has a direct impact on Laguna Woods Village property is Garden Center 1. And this is again limited to changing the land use designation and zoning from something that allows housing right now to something that is open space in nature. When we do that, that would better reflect the existing use of the property. It's obviously been used as a garden center, and as far as I'm aware, will continue to be used as a garden center. It would also match the land use designation and zoning that we currently have in place for Garden Center 2. Garden Center 2, the land use designation is open space. The zoning designation is open space recreation. We're proposing the exact same be applied to Garden Center 1. And again, this was the intention in 2014 to kind of align all of the village's open space uses, but it wasn't possible then because we had a different plan for complying with state housing law. There's a second set of properties, if you'll go to the next slide, that are located within your gates, but are not actually owned by GRF or any of the other corporations. These are 4 properties that are owned by the El Toro Water District. Right now, those properties are all zoned for housing as well. Again, I can't speak to the specific rationale for that, except that I suspect that when the city incorporated in 1999, there was a broad brush applied to everything that was behind the gates, And though there are individual parcels that are owned by the El Toro Water District, those got the residential community designation that applies to the rest of your housing property. So we are proposing to change those 4 properties from residential community to a community facilities designation that is intended specifically for public institutional type uses. These water district facilities are lift stations and other water related infrastructure. We're proposing something similar for City Hall. City Hall right now is zoned community commercial. So it's zoned for retail and office space and restaurants. It's obviously not a restaurant, it's not retail space. So we are in an effort to make all of the governmental property in the city of a similar zoning type. We are proposing to rezone City Hall as well to this exact same designation, community facilities, public, institutional. Those are the only changes that affect either property owned by a Laguna Woods Village Corporation or within the Laguna Woods Village gates. There are, again, a variety of other components of this project that I'm happy to touch on, but that's the only direct impact on your property. Next slide. I'm here today because we are currently in the public review period for the draft environmental impact report that's been prepared for this project. That opened on May 9th. That was the same day that all of the Laguna Woods Village board members received a letter from me explaining this project. And we also published a notice in the Laguna Woods Globe on May 9th and then the following Thursday to provide additional public notice about the availability of this environmental impact report. On May 17th, your communications staff included information on that public review period in the Friday email blast. And we have had information on this project available on the city's website and at City Hall, as well as at the public library branch located right next to City Hall since May 9th. This is an opportunity for any interested party, whether they're a resident, a business, an HOA, some other party, to weigh in on the environmental document, the adequacy of that environmental document, and anything that may or may not have been addressed that they think should have been addressed. That review period runs through June 23rd. It's 11:59 p.m. on June 23rd. So if you are so interested, you can go on our website or you can visit City Hall or call City Hall, take a look at those documents, and if there's any commentary you'd like to provide, either as a board or as individuals, you're absolutely able to do that. And there's instructions in both of those locations on how to do that. Next slide. The City Council will eventually consider this project. They'll have to do so at 2 different meetings because of the types of actions that are proposed. The first will be a public hearing. That'll be noticed in the Laguna Woods Globe as well. And you'll receive another round of letters at that time notifying you of the public hearing date and time. We expect these meetings to occur in fall. I am prone to remind people that the wheels of government do not always turn as quickly as we would like. There are a variety of state laws that we have to comply with that set certain review periods and then requirements for us to respond to comments and so forth, and then notice additional meetings. So that'll all take place over the summer. And then if I had to guess, we're probably talking about September, October timeframe for this project to go before the City Council. Both of those meetings will occur in public. The public will be able to attend and provide comments at those meetings as well. If you would like to either receive notifications of City Council meetings or receive updates on this project specifically, we have an email notification page on our website where you can select this project, or you can select City Council meetings generally and be added to that email distribution list. I know several of you are already on that list, but if you're not and you just want to generally stay in touch with the city on what we're doing, I would encourage you to do so. Next slide, Michaela. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions. I wanted to keep my presentation brief and give you an opportunity to ask anything that you wanted to today. So I'll defer to the president.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. We do appreciate it. Obviously, we as a community work closely with the city. We make up a large portion of the city, but we are a private community within the city. And so we have to work with the city in order to not to protect, but to certainly influence our interest. So with that, I think Martin, you have a question or a comment?
This community facilities zoning, that's not a new classification of zoning, is it?
It's existed for a while. It just hasn't been applied to these properties.
Is there any pros or cons associated with that?
Well, what I would say is that's
Thank you.
being applied to El Toro Water District-owned facilities. So the El Toro Water District, much like the city, has legal limits to what they can actually use their property for. I would say that from your perspective, right now those properties are zoned residential community, and though it is far-fetched, it theoretically allows for the construction of housing and other related uses on those properties. The Community Facilities District narrows that significantly to uses that are generally public institutional. It allows for things like government facilities, libraries, water infrastructure, the kind of typical public uses. So I personally don't think that there's any disadvantage to it. What we're trying to do is make the zoning in our governing documents match the uses that are on the ground currently. Community facilities is a much better match for that than residential community is. You're welcome. Thank you.
Bill?
Yes, Mr. Macon, thank you for your remarks. The issue is currently residential being proposed to change to community, whatever. It occurs to me that as zoned residential, the existing use is non-conforming, right?
Yes.
And so any other use that is not residential would be prohibited. Yes?
Not exactly. The high-density residential zoning district does allow for kind of residentially related uses, but to your broader point where I think you're going, open space gives you more latitude on the types of common area recreational amenities that GRF is accustomed to owning and operating.
I'm actually talking about the water district.
The water district facilities?
Yeah.
Sure.
So changing its changing its designation to be consistent with its use would allow for greater uses consistent with that definition than it would currently be allowed under the housing designation. So it actually is opening up opportunities for change, right?
Not to overcomplicate this, but the water districts, by virtue of state law, don't so much have to comply with city zoning. So they have to comply with city zoning when it is a use outside of their organizational purview. So for instance, when they go to place wireless facilities on water reservoirs, that's not a principal use of the water district, so they're subject to our zoning and they go through our development review process for it. But in terms of building infrastructure within their wheelhouse, they can do that irrespective of what the city zoning is. So the bigger concern would be if there was a transfer of ownership of those properties. If for some reason the water district got out of the business of operating a pump station at whatever location, which again is far-fetched and unlikely to ever occur, but if that were to happen, that property, whoever it's conveyed to, the zoning would then drive what they do. So the community facilities use would limit it to really governmental type uses. The residential community use would prospectively allow the development of housing or other housing related uses there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kush?
Thank you. Good presentation, Mr. Macon. But I'm wondering why it took us so long to get to this point. City was established in 99, 2003, all the different changes took place.
Sure.
This is 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things. I can't speak all the way back to
Sure.
1999, but cities are required to update their housing element, which is kind of the action that's underlying the discussion today, on certain cycles, and that cycle can range from 6 to 8 years. So there were decisions made in previous cycles to retain that housing designation on the garden center property. In the current housing element cycle, our RENA allocation, that allocation of units that we're required to provide zoning to allow the construction of, that number increased from single digits to 997. That drove a significant reevaluation of how the city was meeting its obligations under state housing law. So as part of that process, state law also changed. If you've read the paper or watched the news lately, the state's really number one priority these days is on housing and housing production. With that came a whole host of different state laws that effectively precluded the use of Golden Rain Foundation property anyway. That's maybe more into the weeds than you asked, but I think the long and the short of it is state law was humming along and we were in a place of compliance where it didn't seem to affect the Golden Rain Foundation at all. Like one of your colleagues mentioned, the garden center property has been functioning and hasn't, it hasn't been a use that had to cease in any sense. But then state law changed rather significantly. It drove this broader reevaluation of how we're complying, and that allowed us to get where we are today. So this has been on our radar. I mean, since 2014, we were aware that the Golden Rain Foundation had an interest in having Garden Center 2 rezoned and had that housing designation moved away from it. But this was really the opportunity for us to do it with those 8-year housing element update cycles.
Good. How soon can we finish this?
It should be, once we get through the environmental piece and it goes to the city council, let's say it goes in September, October, it'll all be wrapped up with the various procedural things that we have to do by the end of the calendar year. So it'll be sooner rather than later, but again, I can't tell you it's going to be next month.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Egon?
Yeah, there's a piece of property between Garden Center 2 and the golf course, not our golf course, but the other golf course. And that piece of property is unused basically right now. Is that the risk for some kind of zoning?
No, that's zoned open space. That was part of what the Golden Rain Foundation asked the city to rezone in 2014, so that isn't a part of this project.
Any other questions? First of all, thank you, Chris. We really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Siobhan and BMS. Again, it's one of the things behind the scene that people don't realize that GRF, through BMS, works very closely with the city to coordinate a lot of these things and to bring you here to inform us as to what's going on. So, again, thank you for Siobhan as well as Chris for coming in, and as well as we have members on the city council, too.
You do.
So, I don't know if they want to stand up right now or
you have Councilmember Carol Moore, Councilmember Annie McCary.
We also, as a community, thank you for your participation in helping us to navigate a lot of these very critical but unique things. We make up a large part of the city, and yet we're private, and we have to conform to governmental responsibilities as well. And with that said, Chris, I do have a question.
Sure.
You made a distinction between the zoning creates the opportunity, but does not say there's going to be a build.
Correct.
Okay? Now, where those opportunities are created, do we have, as a private community, and maybe you can't answer this question, do we have any concern in terms of the sanctity of the community as a result of the zoning that is, quote, required, I'm going to say required, by the state?
Well, I can tell you that, we have to comply with state law just like you have to comply with state law, right? So obviously the state requiring the city to zone for nearly 1,000 new housing units, if that development occurs, that is a significant departure from the type of development that has occurred in the past. Now, what the City Council has approved is a land use plan that calls for that opportunity for housing construction to exist outside of Laguna Woods Village. So it doesn't create opportunities for Laguna Woods Village property, whether it's GRF, Third, United, or Mutual 50, to be used different than it is today. But it does create an opportunity that everywhere from this shopping center to church properties or other commercial property in the city, that might be redeveloped for residential purposes.
Okay.
Whether that's good or bad, I don't really want to get into. I can just tell you that we are the recipients of obligations under state law. We had to comply. And I think it was a real focus on our part to try to do this in a manner that didn't affect Laguna Woods Village property. And that's why we're able to offer today that we can pull that high-density residential zoning off of Garden Center number 1.
Thank you, Chris. I asked that question not to put you on the spot, but I had taken a look at the details, and I could see within the details there were some opportunities created that perhaps could be of concern in the future.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to respond to that. So I appreciate, again, you being here, and of course it was at Siobhan's invitation, but it was also our invitation. Again, we work together. We certainly appreciate the city, members of the city council. We always going to work together, and I appreciate you. I really do. We all appreciate
Absolutely, and we're happy to come to your meetings anytime you'd like and share whatever information was of interest. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. With that, we'll move to the consent calendar. And these are consistent with the statutory regulations of a subcommittee of the board consisting of the treasurer and at least one other board member. Reviewed and approved the preliminary Golden Rain Foundation financials for the month of April 2024. By this vote, ratify such review and be confirmed in this month's board member open session meeting minutes. So I'll entertain a motion. I just wanted to read that out. There's the one of them, but entertain a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
So moved.
Okay. Are there any objections? So moved and objected.
Who seconded?
Who second? I think it was
I said it, but I don't know if I was...
Kush. Okay. Next is unfinished business, item 11. Clubhouse 1 renovation update.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members. I am happy to report to you that we have reached the midpoint of the beautification of Clubhouse 1. And with that, we have accomplished a lot. There's a lot of work taking place right now. The contractor is working in every room that's scheduled to be worked on. And we have all the trades working in all those areas, such as electricians, plumbers, masons, window installers, painters. So work is progressing per schedule, and we are on target to open the facility by the end of August. I can tell you that all of this work is taking place, and it's not a single individual doing it, it's a group effort. I wanted to thank other individuals that have contributed to take us to this point, starting with our division manager, Guy West, and his assistant, Azira Badri, who keep an eye on the contract to coordinate, answer questions, and make sure that they remain on schedule, as well as every department in the village, primarily our recreation department, and other departments as well, such as maintenance, and Robert's team that is helping us with the relocation of the shuttle service. So some of the work that has been completed to date includes the painting of the outside of the building. The window installation is about 95% complete now. We continue to work in other areas, such as the bathroom rehabilitation. We've run into a few issues that we have been able to resolve, either by answering questions or by issuing change orders. And with that, I would like to take an opportunity to give you a quick update on the change orders that we have approved to date. Those change orders have been in compliance with your change order policy. that requires that any change order in excess of 10% or $35,000 come before you for approval. The change orders that we have approved have all fell within or under those limits and approved by staff, and that includes items such as the replacement of the lockers that once we got to those, they were in very bad shape. The office in the fitness center did not include the flooring replacement and painting, and it was appropriate to add that to this beautification project. When we opened up the shower walls, we found that the framing had completely dissolved due to the exposure of water. The framing and the walls had to be replaced. We had to seal the flooring to make sure that that doesn't happen again. That included hot mopping. We replaced the copper lines that were showing signs of aging, and they were just about ready to develop pinhole leaks, and we did not want to leave those in and put new walls up. We had to reopen again. And just outside the drop-in lounge, there is a trellis that the grid system or the top pieces have rotted out, and they need replacing. So that has been approved for replacing, as well as one of the beams that has rotted out. Other work that has been considered as part of these change orders include recently approved relocation of the billiards room to the arts room, and with that is the installation of new carpet and lighting. We're working with the contractor on that and with our recreation department. Shower partitions that were originally specified to be that material that is essentially compressed wood sandwiched with a plastic veneer. That for the showers is not appropriate. We are looking at phenolic type of partitions, and we're negotiating with the contractor to make sure that we get the best price for those. And the windows above the office space have rotted out, and we need to repair that before we put the windows, so we're working with the contractor on that. There will be a formal report presented to you at your next meeting with more details on any of these, and I am available to answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Bart? Kush?
Thank you for the update. You say we are at the midpoint, so when is the end of this project?
We're scheduled to open the facility at the end of August.
End of August. Awesome. Very good. I can't think of anything else right now.
Any more questions? Are you still talking? I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay. Are there any questions of Bart or comments? Okay. Yvonne?
The light won't come on. There we go. Hi, Bart.
Hi.
What about the lighting in the old art room that we'll now call the billiards room?
So that is one of the items that is pending. We're planning on upgrading the lighting for the new use.
Okay, and so we're not going to be able to use the light fixtures over at the PAC. Are we going to move those over, or are we just going to discard them?
We are looking at new lights that will be appropriate for the use. And
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I want to know.
Okay. Bart, I have a non-related question, but perhaps, and I don't recall whether, I've heard that there's some issues with the lighting in Clubhouse 5. So since you're up here, I'm going to... Okay. And I understand that they may be engineering rather than maintenance issues. Have you had a chance to take a look into that at all?
I have not. I've heard about some lights that were out, that we're looking to repair those, but other than that, I have not heard any other issues.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. I just
No,
wanted
they're
to
just-
see
they're
if
light bulb.
it come to your attention. Okay. Thank you, Bart.
Thank you.
Oh.
I'm sorry, at the beginning of your presentation, you said that change orders above a certain amount have to go through some process, is that?
That is correct. A change order in excess of 10% of the contract amount will have to come before you for approval.
All right, and so could we have 35% changes and not come before us? Or is that cumulative?
So it could be a single change order that adds 10%, or the accumulation of change orders that add up to 10%. So let's say that 9.5% change orders have been approved to date, and there's another one that comes in that will put out the limit. That will be the time for those change orders to come before you.
All right, thank you.
I hadn't picked up on that, but so let's just say a change order comes in and actually, because it's under 10%, it's performed, all right? And then you reach a point where you go over the 10% and it's only one left to go. How does that work procedurally? Or maybe is that an unfair question for you? Maybe that's a process question for us.
For this particular project, we hope that we do not get to that point.
Okay.
We're managing this project very tightly. We hope and are working really hard to keep it within or under that 10% limit. I believe that the change order policy allows for staff to be able to proceed with a project such as this one, which is a high-paced project without delays. And this has allowed us to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. Just, I've worked on, actually managed construction projects, and from the first to the end, and one thing you do is you make sure there are no change orders. That's where contractors get rich. So, you know, that's, you got to dot the I's and cross the T's. You know, as I say, preparation beats perspiration or something of that nature. I forgot what it is, but all right. Thank you, Bart. Appreciate it. Okay. Next is entertain a motion to approve the fee structure for the new GRF for new and non-return ID cards. Okay. Can you read that? Yes, thank you.
Resolution 90-24-XX, excuse me. GRF ID card fees. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation requires that all approved residents residing in the village carry an ID card with them at all times. And whereas the Community Services Division issues ID cards when a resident is approved to reside in the unit. And whereas all owners, members, and non-owner occupants and tenants are required to return their ID cards at the time residency is terminated, and failure to do so may result in unauthorized entry into the community or use of GRF facilities. And whereas all GRF ID card fees should be identified in one resolution and placed on the website to provide transparency and improve communications. Now, therefore, be it resolved, June 4th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby establishes the following fee schedule relating to GRF ID cards. For a new card for non-owner occupant, $25. New ID cards for new resident owners or members, no charge. New ID cards for lessees, sublessees, renters, or lodgers. This is included in the application processing fee. ID card renewals for lessees and mutual 50 only, no charge. Non-return or failure to surrender ID cards for all resale, non-escrow transfer, leasing or rental, and occupancy, including caregiver transactions, $125, non-refundable. Replacement card for lost, destroyed, or stolen cards, $60, non-refundable. Replacement card for worn and unreadable cards, no charge. Replacement card for stolen ID cards with the presence of a police theft report, no charge. Resolve further, Resolution G-94-100, adopted November 1st, 1994. Resolution G-95-18, adopted March 7th, 1995. Resolution G-96-103, adopted December 3rd, 1996. And Resolution 90-18-35, adopted August 7th, 2018, are hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that the fee schedule shall be placed on the website, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution for GRF ID card fees.
It's been moved and second. Are there any objections? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is new business, and I'm sorry. Oh, committee assignments. Okay. We've made some updates to the committee assignments.
Okay, just a second.
Can you, it's only a few, because we did a pretty good job the last time, I guess.
Okay.
If you can read them off. It's actually the...
Okay, I'll read the changes. Resolution 90-24-XX, GRF Committee Appointments. Resolved June 4th, 2024, that the following persons are hereby appointed and ratified to serve on the committees of this corporation. Under the Community Activities Committee, Mark Laws from 3rd has been replaced by S.K. Park from 3rd. There's a question on the Finance Committee. We have Martin Rose as an alternate, William Cohen as the chair, and Donna Rain Sosak as a member. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, thank you. And the next, sorry. Under the Landscape Committee, please, Juanita Skillman is now an alternate, and Donna Rain Sosak is regular member. So just reverse Juanita and Donna. That was not in there as to their positions. Under Media and Communications, again, please reverse. Is that what you meant? What you mean?
Mr. Light.
Yeah.
Okay. Reverse the Juanita Skillman is going to become the alternate, and Donna Rain Sosak is representing GRF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Juanita's an alternate.
All right. Sorry. And then. Okay. Then going all the way down to Select Audit Task Force, Peggy Moore has been eliminated, and David Wieneman from 3rd has been added for the Select Audit Task Force. Then under the El Toro Water District, please again reverse. It should be Juanita Skillman is going to be the alternate, and Donna Rain Sosak will be the representative. Okay, that's it. I move that we approve these
A second.
positions.
Wait a minute. I
Question?
have a question.
Well, we have to, okay.
Yes.
Okay. On the Maintenance and Construction Committee, we have on 3rd, Brad Reinhardt and Jim Cook are both alternates. And then S.K. Park is the representative. Shouldn't there be 2 members?
So one of the alternates, but that's going to be up to their president. Do we don't make
So
that
we'll-
decision? No, fine,
Thank
fine.
you. We'll make note of that and ask staff to notify 3rd to make an adjustment, unless staff...
So that's under maintenance construction. Okay, did we have a second?
Okay, so second?
Okay.
Moving second.
Martin
Are there any
seconded.
amendments or changes to the committee assignments? Hearing none, the committee assignments are approved.
Okay.
Okay. Next on the list. Okay. New business, entertain a motion to approve a bus tour for village landscape promotion.
Okay. I'm working on it. Okay. The recommendation is to approve the use of 2 GRF buses for a tour of the village urban forest. Is that the one you're on?
Yep.
Yes. And we don't have a particular resolution. This is a situation. Due to the success of the urban forest management plans recently implemented by the housing mutuals, staff has been approached by the Street Tree Seminar, STS, to host a bus tour of the village urban forest. Street Tree Seminar, Inc. is an organization dedicated to developing healthcare and managing street trees in rural and urban areas within Southern California. STS is the Orange County, Los Angeles chapter of the California Urban Forest Council, which was founded in 1968 as the first urban forest council in the nation. So I move that we approve this bus tour for the village landscape promotion. Martin seconds.
Moved in second. Are there any objections or comments? Motion carries. Okay. Next is to entertain a motion to approve the revised meeting communications committee charter.
Okay. Resolution 90-24-XX, Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods Media and Communications Committee Charter. Whereas the Media and Communications Committee, formerly the Broadband Committee, has been established pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.1.1 of the bylaws of the corporation. And whereas this charter has not been updated since January 7th, 2020. Now therefore be it resolved, June 4th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby assigns the duties and responsibilities of this Media and Communications Committee as follows. 1. Comply with Resolution G-9-95, General Duties of Standing Committees, adopted October 3rd, 1989. I'll read these are the duties of all standing committees. 1, advise and recommend to the board goals, policies, and expectations in the committee's area of concern and in management's divisional performance for the purpose of evaluating ongoing experience. These goals, policies, and expectations should be quantifiable or otherwise measurable wherever possible and appropriate. Number 2, assure mutual understanding between committee and respective management division of approved goals, policies, and expectations. Number 3, keep informed generally regarding the extent and quality of operational performance within the committee's scope of responsibilities. Number 4, seek an acceptable level of congruence among board expectations, management performance, and generally resident experience and desire. 5, seek optimum benefit cost results in the committee's area of concern. And number 6, review on a continuing basis the long-range needs of the Laguna Woods Village community, its residents, facilities, services, and programs within the committee's area of concern, and develop information that will assist this corporation and this should be housing corporations instead of hosing, in addressing anticipated future needs within their areas of responsibility. Forward recommendations and information based on said review to the Board of Directors of this corporation or to other governance entities as appropriate. Second, number 2 is the large area of concern for this committee is promote two-way communications within the community by every medium available. Number 3, serve as liaison between the GRF Board of Directors and the Media and Communications Division. Number 4, work with GRF committees and GRF Board of Directors on matters related to areas of responsibility in this charter. Number 5, review the capital requirements, service levels, and projected revenue related to the GRF Media and Communications Division, other activities referenced in this charter, and make recommendations to the GRF Board for approval. Number 6, review all non-budgeted requests within the committee's scope of work originated by the GRF Board, the Media and Communications Division, or the CEO, and recommend appropriate action to the Finance Committee and GRF Board, respectively, for approval. Number 7, direct the managing agent to implement capital plan projects per board-approved scope of work of this committee. Number 8, serve as a liaison between the GRF Board and the managing agent to ensure that communication services are appropriate for the intended services. Make recommendations to all boards as necessary. Number 9, perform such other duties as may be assigned by the GRF Board of Directors within the Media and Communications Division scope of work. Resolved further that Resolution 90-20-03, adopted January 7, 2020, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move we approve this charter.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those, are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay. Next is entertain a motion to approve the Broadband Committee Charter. Okay. Just a word, as a result of VMS organizational change, the broadband division was transferred to under Robert Carroll. And so it moved out of media and communications from a management perspective. And so what this is really following, making the adjustment to the committee structure for that. I do anticipate as we move down the line, okay, because there's a lot of things going on within broadband, that will also make some changes to the committee structure, to the committee charter in the future, once we complete all of our analysis and review of the ongoing items. So with that said.
Okay. Resolution 90-24-XX, Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods Broadband Committee Charter. Whereas the Broadband Committee, formerly an ad hoc committee to the Media and Communications Committee, has been reestablished pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.1.1 of the bylaws of the corporation. And whereas this charter is recreated effective May 2nd, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved, May 2nd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby assigns the duties and responsibilities of the Broadband Committee as follows. 1. Comply with Resolution G-9-95, General Duties of Standing Committees, adopted October 3rd, 1989. 1. Advise and recommend to the Board goals, policies, and expectations in the committee's area of concern, and with the mutual management's goals, policies, and expectations which should be quantifiable or otherwise measurable wherever possible and appropriate. 2. Keep informed generally regarding the extent and quality of operational performance. 3. Seek an acceptable level of congruence among board expectations and generally resident experience and desire. 4. Seek optimum benefit or cost results in the committee's area of concern. And 5, review on a continuing basis the long-range needs of the Laguna Woods Village community, its residents, facilities, services, and programs within the committee's area of concern, and develop information that will assist this corporation or the, again, housing, not hosting, corporations in addressing anticipated future needs within their areas of responsibility. Forward recommendations and information based on said review to the board of directors, to the corporation or other governing entities as appropriate. And this committee's areas of concern: 1, creating, supporting, and committing to the education of the community through the channels utilized by the Media and Communications Committee of the functionalities associated with the broadband services. 2, ensure the maintenance and operation of GRF broadband, internet, and village television, formerly known as TV6 facilities, under the committee's jurisdiction. 3, serve as liaison between the GRF board and the General Services Department to ensure that broadband services and associated equipment are appropriate for intended services. 4, work with GRF committees, other, and this should be boards, plural, of directors and GRF board of directors on matters related to areas of responsibility in this charter. 5, review the budget requests for capital requirements, service levels, and projected revenue related to the broadband department. That's cable and internet services. Other activities referenced in this charter, and make recommendations to the GRF board and finance committee for approval. 6, review all non-budgeted requests originated by the GRF broadband department or the CEO, and COO, and recommend appropriate action to the finance committee and GRF board respectively for approval. 7, ensure that the Network Operations Center, broadband, internet, village television facilities, equipment, and technical operations owned or managed by this corporation are maintained as necessary to sustain a consistent level of performance to meet the requirements of the community, the City of Laguna Woods franchise agreement, and FCC regulations. 8, direct the managing agent to prepare specifications and contracts used for procurement of applications associated with all broadband operations. Review and modify criteria as reflected in Resolution 90-20-3, Programming Network Contract Renewals. 9, direct the managing agent to implement capital plan projects per board-approved scope of work. 10, serve as a liaison between the GRF board and the managing agent to ensure that any associated equipment, software, and interconnections are appropriate for the intended services. Make recommendations to all boards as necessary. 11, maintain effective communications and relationships with the external jurisdictions. Monitor federal, state, county, and local governments regarding the impact that proposals and actions may have on the GRF broadband services system, such as FCC rules and regulations, U.S. government, the California state government, County Board of Supervisors, City of Laguna Woods, neighboring cities, plan communities, etc., and make recommendations to the GRF board regarding said impacts. And 12, perform such other duties as may be assigned by the GRF Board of Directors. Resolve further that Resolution 90-20-3 for January 7th, 2020 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this charter. Anita?
It's moved in second. Okay, are there any comments, questions?
I have a number of probably Scribner errors that I think need to be resolved before we vote on this. First of all, it's the Golden Raid Foundation of Laguna Woods Broadband Committee Charter. This is an ad hoc committee at this time. I think it should be made
It's
a
no
regular
longer
committee.
not an ad hoc committee.
We just approved the committee as an ad hoc committee.
No. Yeah, we did.
We did. It's in what we just did in committee appointments. It's shown as an ad hoc committee. I think it needs to be designated as regular committee. Secondly, it's created effective May 2nd. It should be June 4th. Resolved, May 2nd should be June 4th. This came forward at the last meeting, but it was not resolved at that time. It was not voted on at that time. And last but not least, at the very end, resolved further that right resolution, I don't think right.
No, I
belongs.
left out the word, but they know it's not in there. Right is out.
Okay, well, just making sure.
Right.
Otherwise, I certainly
hear-
second and vote for this.
I guess I'm hearing some unreadiness in many areas. Is that's what I'm hearing? In
Well,
terms of-
I just think it needs to be made a standing committee instead of right now. We just voted on committee appointments as an ad hoc committee.
That'll happen next month for sure.
So are you, let me just see, let me just understand, are you saying this is premature, or it shouldn't have, I mean?
We're doing a committee charter for a committee that doesn't exist.
Okay.
Doesn't this make it exist?
Well, I'm hoping
This
that now
broadband
Well,
says it's a
let's hear
standing.
from the current committee chair.
Yes, I'm concerned about whether or not the ad hoc committee is ready to go to a standard committee.
We have to.
There's a part of me that believes that we need a little bit more time in that sense. And I'm just not that to be considered in this discussion. Thank
You're
you.
the author of the resolution, so are you saying you would like to withdraw it at the time?
No, don't do that.
No, I don't want to withdraw it. It's the timing of, go ahead.
Let me try. Since this is not going, the committee is still an ad hoc committee because we just voted that. So that will be an ad hoc committee until next month. But this charter, we can approve prior to the existence of the committee. Michaela?
Yes, thank you. On the GRF committee assignments that you guys recently approved, the reason that it doesn't state broadband committee and it states broadband ad hoc committee is because you guys were approving the GRF committee assignments prior to the approval of the broadband charter. So you guys are essentially approving the broadband committee as a committee, not an ad hoc, because you're approving the charter. Next month, we'll bring the committee assignments back, and it'll reflect that update.
So, Michaela, are you saying by virtue, and let's call it a scrivener, okay, for the committee assignments, by virtue of leaving out ad hoc on the committee assignments, we, by that elimination, have made it a committee? Is that what you're saying?
No, approving the charter just now, if you're approving the charter.
All right. Let me just make a suggestion, because I think there's...
Jim, if I may.
Yeah, let's just, it's not absolutely necessary that we approve this, and maybe there's some more work that needs to be done on this prior to, we've got an ad hoc committee that's performing its functions at the moment. So maybe it's better if we just delay this. That's what I'm hearing from the ad hoc chair. Maybe we just delay this technical detail, actually what it amounts to,
Do you want
until we're ready.
to do you want to postpone the approval of the charter until next month when
Yeah.
you rename the committee as the broadband committee on the committee assignments? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. And there was some other unreadiness also that I heard. At least
Maybe 2 months.
Yeah, maybe 2 months.
Whether
So I'm
you
going to
delay
defer
1,
to
2 months or not, I mean, there is no incongruity between saying we have a ad hoc committee now and this is its membership, which is what we voted on already.
Right.
And this I understood to be the establishment of a broadband, moving it to a full committee status.
Standing committee.
Standing committee, that's it. Now, if we're not ready to do that, that's fine, but that's my understanding of what this does, and then next month, we would vote on the composition of the members of that standing committee. So you have to have the committee before you staff it.
But you can approve the charter before you
Yes.
establish the committee.
Well, you
And that
approve-
was the point.
Okay, then I have
Then
no
I-
problem in
well,
approving
You
the
okay
charter.
with that, Martin?
I would say, what's the rush?
No,
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I would say, what's the
I have
rush?
no
I know
objection to
it's
delaying.
frustrating
I'm
for
asking
you,
what's
but-
the delay?
But what does the rush do us? What does it do?
It's not a
I'm not in
rush.
a rush. What does doing it now with so many questions in front, how does it help moving any of the issues forward?
The questions were all Scribner error.
This is not anything
Well,
about
again, I will
function.
defer to the Broadband Committee Chair, since
Thank you.
he's the one that's the
Yeah,
author.
I'm feeling the need that we need another month in the area of work that we are doing in the ad hoc committee in order, before we move forward to having an open committee with, yes.
So are you suggesting an amendment, or have the vote, and then, or is this an amendment to the vote?
An amendment to the vote.
So would you state?
We need to
we-
hear
we
from
have a-
we need to hear from Catherine
Okay.
and Robert before we go ahead.
Please understand, even making it a broadband committee, it still can be closed sessions. It doesn't automatically have to be open sessions.
Okay. Then I'm okay
If
with
that was
that.
your concern, yes.
Then I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Okay, so in other words, we could approve the charter, and right now, it's still an ad hoc committee until next month. And next month, we make it a standing committee, but and then we have the charter ready to go. No problems? And we've corrected the Scriveners, so can we move ahead?
Can I get a,
You need to hear the motion again?
not a ruling, an opinion from our resident Robert's Rules
What's your
person
opinion?
in terms of having a standing committee be a closed committe.
Any committee can be closed, the committee isn't
Can have
closed,
closed
their
meetings.
meetings are closed by what the chair needs to say. It doesn't have to be open.
All
Okay,
right,
that's right.
Okay. All right, I guess there's Yvonne's giving me all of this. There's a motion on the table.
There's a motion on the floor.
On the floor, excuse me.
Yes, I move that we approve the charter for the broadband committee
With the Scriveners.
with the Scriveners Incorporated.
And I seconded it.
And money is
Moved in
second.
second. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Okay.
She's good. Sorry. Okay, all right, moving on. I think the board can take a break. And it
Yes,
says
please.
5 minutes, but how about, is everybody in agreement with being back by 11:45, or was that too much?
No, that's fine.
I'm sorry, 11:40, I should say, 11:40.
11:40.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Thank you. obviously performing or having a meeting for the purpose of the audience on TV. So thank you for sticking with us. Okay. Since most of everybody else is gone. And of course, Kathy, who's the one person in the audience. So it's almost like that third meeting where they voted to recall me. Anyway, you got to laugh. All right, let's get on with the meeting, and then we will go into committee reports. And first is a report of the Finance Committee.
All right. Turn this on. We go through the slides here. The first chart includes all the revenues and expenses, including those designated for reserves, including investment income, the the transfer facility fees, and the GRF reserve portion of the HOA fees. Through the reporting period of April 30, 2024, GRF had net revenue of $2.1 million, along with total revenue of $17.6 million and total expense of $15.5 million. GRF was better than budget by $498,000, with total expenses coming in lower than budget by $683,000, primarily due to less cable programming costs and materials and supplies than anticipated. This was partially offset by revenue coming in lower than expected by budget by $185,000, primarily due to less broadband services revenue than anticipated. Next slide, please. Next slide. Nope, got it? Okay. The next chart displays the operating fund activities, fund activities which excludes the non-operating revenues, expenses, and depreciation. This report shows a favorable variance of $427,000 through the reporting period, with expenses less than budget by $686,000, offset by non-assessment revenue worse than budget by $259,000. And slide 3. All right, this slide shows our most significant operating fund variances by category, with green bars representing favorable variances to budget and orange bars representing unfavorable items. Favorable items overall, we had favorable variances on cable programming franchise fees of $320,000 due to TV programming contract renegotiations, materials and supplies of $162,000, primarily due to less materials needed than budgeted for year-to-date for golf supplies, such as herbicide and insecticide, savings in coffee and kitchen supplies at Clubhouse 1 due to its closure, and equipment not yet ordered for the PAC. Clubhouse rentals and event fee revenue of $140,000 due to more GRF and club event fees at the Performing Arts Center for events such as King of Queen, Jimmy Buffett, Bob Dylan, Delphonics, and ABBA Fab tribute bands. We have employee compensation favorable of $138,000 due to various vacancies in janitorial positions, production coordinator position in the TV studio, and in auto mechanic positions. Vacancies also include positions in landscape and maintenance and construction, a slight offset for outside services for landscape GRF grounds maintenance. Unfavorable. Some of the unfavorable variances included unfavorable variances of $366,000 in broadband services, primarily due to revenue not yet collected for Village Breeze sponsorships. In addition, advertising revenue and media services is unfavorable, as the political advertisements will begin later this year, but the budget was spread evenly throughout the year. Finally, sponsorship generation program in media communications was anticipated to be launched in 2024, but has not yet occurred. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. All right, this slide shows sources of revenue other than assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we have received $3.6 million of non-assessment operating revenue, as shown on this. This is not a pie chart. There we are. I'm sorry. I'm losing it. All right, here we go. The slide chart shows sources of revenues other than the assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we have received $3.6 million in non-assessment operating revenue, as shown on this pie chart. By category, we can see that our largest revenue is broadband services, i.e. the internet, set-top boxes, ad insertion, and premium channels, followed by golf revenue, clubhouse rentals, and fee events, and merchandise sales. Other revenue, which includes class fees, electric vehicle charging revenue, additional occupant fees, sponsorship income, and equestrian center fees, among others, amount to 16%. These revenues costs offset to help keep assessments down. And if we go to the next slide, hang on, please. I'm sorry, I'm trying to track because my monitor's not working. And it appears that I'm not going to be successful. Oh, but there we are. What slide are we on? We're on slide 5. All right, here we go. Thank you. Consistent with prior months, our largest operating expense is compensation, followed by cable and programming expenses of the $3.8 million. Excluding depreciation, these two categories account for 72% of the overall operating expense. Insurance, professional, legal, utilities and fuel, outside services, et cetera, make up the remaining 28%. And so we go to slide 6. The reserve and restricted funds adjusted balances are shown here, starting with the first column on the left. Reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $43.2 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of $4 million. Included in these totals are contributions received through the year through assessments, trust facilities fees, and investment earnings. The second column shows the work in progress of $9.3 million for reserve and $43,000 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet completed. And the third column represents the resulting adjusted balances of $33.9 million for reserve and $3.9 million for reserve and $3.9 million for restricted. All right, slide number 7. This slide shows the resale history from 2022 to 2024. Community-wide sales totaled 246 through April 30, 2024. Most of these transactions generate the trust facilities fee, the transfer fee used as a source of revenue for our reserves. All right, slide number 8. The listing on this slide gives you an idea of where the reserve money is committed. Of the $29.8 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve funds is $20.4 million, primarily for renovation projects. Restricted funds had a total appropriation of $47,000, all remaining for the West Creek fuel modification. And then we go to slide number 9. And in this slide, we compare our adjusted fund balances to historical balances for the past 5 years. On this chart, we show that GRF has averaged $29.7 million in reserve funds and $2.9 million in contingency funds. And there we are. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Treasurer Cohen. We have a Finance Committee report.
I actually do not have anything to add on the Finance Committee. I will, however, note that the next meeting is scheduled, I believe, for the 19th, a day that I will be having hip surgery, so I will not be able to participate. We have to have our second step up for me.
But we'll arrange for, I guess, your other member to chair that meeting.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay. Next, we have the CAC Committee, or Community Activities Committee. Director Horton.
Oh, thank you. There was no CAC meeting last month, so I have nothing new to report. Our next meeting is at 1:30 in the boardroom on June 13th, and I urge everybody to come that has any suggestions or questions about the community activities. Thank you.
And since next is the Landscape Committee, Director Bada.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The Landscape Committee was held on May 8th, 2024 in the boardroom, and we discussed a few items. Um, uh, The main item that we discussed was the construction of the charging wall. It is charging for the landscape equipment, which is being converted from gasoline power to electric power, and it is in construction, so it will soon be done. This was recommended by the state, so we had to change over. The next item was the West Creek cleanup has been completed, the fuel modification thing. The landscape, the next item was the landscape designer is working on the gate entry project. We should have a layout soon, and that will be presented to the community. We also discussed the use of water and recommended that the residents do not water their lawns or their plants outside their units with a hose bib, because they would be then using potable water. And a few other items, but not important to discuss here. Anyway, our next meeting is going to be in August, on August 14th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. Thank you.
Donna, do you have anything to talk about on the water conservation?
I do. And it might be not as brief as I had thought it would be after the Community Advisory Group, commonly known as CAG, that El Toro Water District has. They had a meeting on May 16th, and the primary focus of that meeting was budget, which of course affects us. We are looking at a potential 8.5% increase in our water costs, and I will try to condense a very long 2-hour but informative meeting into a very short time. There was a speaker from MoDOC. MoDOC is the Metropolitan Water District of Orange County. It's where we purchase our water, and the meeting began with this gentleman who proposed the most interesting question of all. We've done very well with conserving water. Residentially, we have cut down. We've got the new irrigation system fully functioning that we have here in Laguna Woods, and Mother Nature was probably more than generous the last few months. So the question that they proposed, and everybody is going to ask, is why are our water bills going up when our usage has been going down? And that answer is really important and affects all of us. The first one relates to the fact that we, in this part of Orange County and this portion of El Toro Water District, have absolutely no storage and no means of obtaining potable water. We purchase virtually 100% of our water from the Metropolitan Water District. And the source of that is twofold. Some of it comes from snow runoff from Northern California when we have it. And this year it's in abundance, so that's why the question of how come our bills are going up. The part that relates to the water we get from Northern California is absolutely critical, because just prior to the abundance of rainfall, we had one of the worst droughts we have had. And during that drought, our allocation from the state of water from Northern California, which is a huge piece of what we depend upon, our allocation was 0. Now, we didn't see that and know that because of an application for emergency measures, and they gave us a very small percent. I think it was like 5%. It was extremely small, and it was enough to get us through. So we had that issue. We had the issue of the Colorado River. It'd say, okay, if we don't have any water from the mountains up north, there's the Colorado River over there. We're still drawing off the same amounts that were drawn off when the agreements were first agreed upon, and we're taking out more every year than comes in, except during this latest heavy rainfall, and Mother Nature is capricious, and we don't know when that might happen again. We do know we have periods of drought and plenty, And what it said, and it said to the Met, and it says to all of us and to El Toro, is we've got to find a way to prevent ourselves from being the victims of that. It's especially important because the Colorado River Agreement heavily favored California because we were the ones that first did it. We said, let's get some water from the Colorado River to Los Angeles, and we made that pathway. So we had the bulk, the lion's share of that water. Those agreements ended just recently. We are in a temporary agreement, and soon that will be revisited, and the chances of California getting the allotments from Colorado that we originally got are very small. So the bottom line is somehow, somewhere, there's to be some way to store some water, and that's going to cost some money. And the answer to it is nobody knows yet, but they're working on it, and that's part of our increase in the water supply. The other portion is the fact that maintenance still needs to not only be done, but we have to maintain our water systems. What happened last week in Atlanta is proof. Any of you who've kept an eye on that, that was an emergency situation. They had a water line break. We don't want to have that happen either. So we're facing two things. We're facing a need to prepare, and we're facing a need to maintain what we already have. There will be a public hearing on the water increase on June 27th. Anybody who wants to go, details will be forthcoming. It's a fairly soon meeting. But I did want to share that with you, and it's something, we're all in this together. And we've got to continue to conserve water, but we've also got to prepare for when Mother Nature decides to withhold supplies. So that is the report. I would urge people, the CAG meeting, the Community Advisory Group meeting, is outstanding. It's done quarterly. Anybody is welcome to attend. You do have to register because they have to know how many people are coming. They actually provide a lunch, which is lovely, and they are so informative. So I urge anybody, go to the El Toro Water District site. The meetings are quarterly, which means August, most likely. They haven't set the date yet. And with that, that is my report.
Would you be willing, I know I write a newsletter. I think this is critical that everybody understands. So can you kind of give me, you and I can get together and give me kind of a slight blurb and also an invitation to this water advisory group. I think it would be valuable for people to show up. I'm always amazed at the number and wide range of activities that GRF gets involved in. And I think people think that all we do is tell you what you can watch on TV.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we usually get wonderful attendance from Laguna Woods at these community advisory group meetings. This was the one meeting where we had the least participation from anyone. The room was probably 2/3 empty, which is so unusual, and I think it was probably, just a comedy of reasons that people couldn't come. But so I do urge people to come because the more informed we are, the better, and I would love to get together and do that. We also are in contact, or I am, with the folks from both Third and the folks from United, because this is one community and we have to work together, and we're facing some problems. I do want to add one thing that is interesting is we're also facing a third big one, and that is this pending state regulation that has to do with not watering non-functional turf with potable water, as if things aren't bad enough. So that was interesting, and I'm going to make my comments very short on that because the comments at the meeting were very short. But what they said was there is no question that areas that are designated as non-functional turf will ultimately have to not be watered by potable water, and that's a big problem here, especially in the area where our older connections can't be separated as easily as they were in Third. And so that's important. But what is flexible and what we are watching for is the state hasn't yet said what the definition of non-functional turf is. And it seems that there may be some flexibility. And with GRF having a good portion of some land that might be designated as functional as opposed to non-functional, depending on what we do, the jury is out yet. And so when the state lets us know how those things are defined, we will have a better idea of how to proceed. So it's not all black and white there, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Thank you, Donna.
I have a question. Los Angeles faced this storage problem years ago, and in the 30s, they put up reservoirs around the city. Is there any chance that Orange County might be considering something like that now?
There is, and that's part of the reason for the increase in rates, is you can't build it with nothing. So not only are they studying the best way to do some storage and avoid this problem that we had, that's an emergency, but they're also studying, the ways to do it and how we do it, and so the planning is, it's all in the planning. Any other?
I have two questions. One is when does the requirement of using non-potable water on whatever they called it, turf, functional turf, when does that take effect?
Yeah, the year is set, and I have to apologize for not having it with me. I was at a granddaughter's wedding for the last 5 days.
That's good. The other question was, do we pay for water? We pay for water as a community overall, yes? Do we pay by gallon, or do we just pay whatever it is they charge us?
We pay by cubic.
Whatever. By some cubic feet,
yeah.
I think it is. Whatever
yeah.
they have.
And yes, and so it's how much water we use, and
distribution costs.
GRF pays a certain amount, and Third pays a certain amount, and United pays a certain amount. So when monthly maintenance, because that's where the bill gets sent to, when the monthly maintenance comes out, we will possibly see an increase both in the GRF side and the mutual side, depending on what mutual one is in. But that's still.
So what I'm going with this is that the increase, which you said was like 8.5%, is that an 8.5% increase in the price per cubic whatever?
Yeah.
Or is it an
because we're
8.5%
charged, there's
in-
landscaping water, and there's potable water, and there's recycled water in third and part in GRF. So it's a little more complicated than that. And we will find out more at the public hearing.
Right, but forgetting what category it fits in, I mean, it seems to me that what I'm looking for is the 8.5% increase could be the net cost change for us. And if that is true, because we're using less water and paying 8.5% more for us, the actual increase in the price for water might be 10 or 15%. If 8.5 is our net cost.
Yeah, I don't know. And I have to say that the bulk of the meeting was spent on the Metropolitan's issues, focusing on storage. And there was less time for the El Toro side, but that public hearing, June 27th, is going to be very important, and I think that's where we will find out a little more. And frankly, El Toro Water District is more than willing to come and speak to us and share once it gets a little more refined so that we can understand. But it means we still conserve water. The bottom line is we conserve it, and the bottom line also is thanks to the irrigation system that GRF was behind, it benefits this entire village. And so, it's like, thank you for the things we do to look forward.
I know we're moving on. Kathy had something to add to
Yeah, the date is January 1st, 29.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I knew it was a couple of years away.
Yes.
So we have, and that's really why we haven't gotten guidelines from the state
And
yet.
we're breaking protocol a little bit, but I think the information is valuable. I hope everybody else thinks that.
But I appreciate the addition of the year, because I didn't have it, I just knew it was a few years.
Just as a point of information to our residents who hopefully are watching us out there, there's a difference in the village as to how our water charges are billed. If you live in Third Mutual, you get a water bill. And they've got a water meter?
Nope. No.
We don't individually get it.
No.
The meters are, a Garden Villa building might have 2 meters, one for one half and one for the other. I happen to live in a one-story triplex, that's 1 meter. Sometimes it's 2 triplexes together. It's very little understanding, but it is very strange.
But there
And
are
the
water
only-
meters.
The
but-
only people who have individual meters are the people in single-family homes that are attached to nothing.
And United has no
No,
individual
they
billing
don't get the bill.
at
The bill
all.
is still the
None of us
mutual.
either.
So
It-
people in United feel water is free, and therefore they don't have to conserve. They can water,
And people in
clean
Third
their
the
cars,
same.
water their gardens, water their sidewalks,
It's
whatever.
not just United, it's Third as well. Nobody sees that bill, even the places that have a meter of their unit, it's part of the monthly assessment. And that's why it's so difficult for us, and frankly, why I get so excited when I see that we have cut down and that our residents have cut down because they don't get the bill. And I can tell you that the previous year, Third, and that's where I was the water person, so that's the only reason I know, is in Third, residential water use, because there it's separated between landscape and residential. It is not that way in United.
Not that way.
But residential water use saved 150 million gallons of water in 1 year. That is a lot.
Yep.
And we got to keep doing it.
I can remember you and before you, Director Tao, basically going around and looking at water meters to see who was dripping. And I thought it was curiously funny at the time because I was just moved here. And now I understand the importance of it and how it did help us to save that.
And,
But-
I think we saved it because we took a positive approach
Yep.
instead of saying, you're the one. Because maybe that one was a leak they didn't even know they had.
I know.
So we instead took a positive approach and said, these are things we can do and this is how we can cut back, and that was a heck of a lot of water to save.
And can I just add that for those of us, obviously, we want to conserve water. But in my previous life, I was there when the water conservation started, and we thought that we had saved so much money by conserving water. So if you focus on money, what happened is the distribution cost went sky high because water districts have to make so much money. And I'm speaking from a financial perspective. They have to make so much money because they're either private or quasi-private. So when you cut down on water usage, it doesn't necessarily cut down on your bill. But it does help the bill. Don't get me wrong. It does help the bill. But they're going to make it up one way or another to feed their families.
Well, and they've been really good about being open about where the costs are going.
Yeah.
And we do have tiered water. Tier 4, the same amount of water if you're all the way up and a big user, and we don't see it because it's in the monthly maintenance, or the monthly assessment. But Tier 4 water is far more expensive than Tier 1 or Tier 2 water. And I can say that the efforts, at least in Third where we see it, it's just easier to see when you've got the landscape separated from residential, and the rest you have to kind of extrapolate and try and figure it out. But Tier 4 water usage went from about $15,000 a month in Third to about $1,500 a month in Third. So cutting down took much of that out of the Tier 4 level. So we just do the best we can, and yet our water district has to maintain, otherwise we wind up like Atlanta did last week.
Thank you again. We're very happy to have you aboard. Okay. Next is the maintenance and construction.
Well, this is a duplicate.
Yep.
We didn't have a meeting last month. We only have M&C meetings every other month. But I do urge everybody to come to these meetings. And our next one is going to be next week on June 12th, 9:30 here in the boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you. And as far as space planning is concerned, we had a meeting on May 1st in which we basically forwarded 2 plans on space planning to be forwarded to the GRF board for consideration after VMS staff has taken a look at that and evaluated it from both a cost and other perspectives in terms of the viability of the 2 proposals. So right now, before we schedule another space planning meeting, which we intend to invite, the entire, everybody, all right, It will be open. We'll advertise it heavily, because I think this is a critical issue that we want to get, that everybody needs to opine on. But, so that meeting, we haven't scheduled that meeting. We penciled it in, but I'm not going to give you a date, because it could be, as a result of other things, it could be moved out. But we are working on it. But there are two proposals. One is to rebuild, and the other is to use the existing space to accommodate the security and other displaced organizations within the old building E. So we haven't disbanded the committee yet.
It's not June 25th?
No. It is, it's been penciled in for June 25th.
Okay.
Okay? But it could change.
Chairman, I have a question regarding the space planning.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that you are going with that. I want to know what is the status of Building E? Construction, or how do we handle it?
I would invite you to continue to attend. We've had extraordinary discussions on Building E. Okay, I think the community has been involved. So rather than me repeat what's been going on for the last 3 committee meetings, very public meetings, I would just refer you to go online and look up Building E. Actually, it's on YouTube. Look at the it's not a one.
No
when
decision
you say
has
what's
been
going
made.
on, it's not that simplistic.
Yeah, I understand that. My situation is this, that we have a fiduciary responsibility as a director to keep the property value and maintain the property that we have. And because that has a fiduciary responsibility. So from that point of view, and since we have this fund to handle that, why can we not just replace the building for the sake of having the property in place?
You are
Do I
welcome
have
to attend
have-
the committee meetings.
Can
That's all
I-
I can tell you.
I understand your position.
You are more than welcome to attend the committee meetings. All right?
I will.
The question that you're posing cannot be answered in this forum.
My point is that I understand that they have, the other committee, with due respect to all the corporate members, I think they have a feeling that we can have instead some amount of money in the reserve fund. But my point is that our direct responsibility is to maintain our property. I want to see that property in place.
Okay. Thank you.
That is my point.
Bravo.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. All right, next is the Media and Communications Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Media and Communications last met on April 15th, 2024. We did not meet in May, but I wanted to remind you that a couple things happened on the 15th that are very interesting. The community tour experience video is now online, and I hope that you'll take a look at it and go around the community online. And it's open to everybody. Our village website is well on its way. We should see some results this summer. And at that meeting, we reviewed our charter, which has just been approved. So our next meeting will be July 15th at 1:30 here in the boardroom. Thank you.
Okay. Just a question. Do you review open rates and click rates at your committee meeting?
Say that again.
Do you guys review open rates and click rates? And in other words, we've got a lot of communication media out there. I'm just wondering, what the use rate is in terms of. I'm just asking you if you do it at your committee.
We used to
meeting.
do it.
Okay.
We have that
Okay.
available always.
Okay.
And
It's part of our director
It's-
report from.
Yeah.
Question?
That would be useful, I think.
Could you share with us how our members can access that tour? When they get
Tour?
online, how do they go to
Oh,
access
let's see
that
if I
tour
know
to make
how to
sure
do-
that they know?
Yeah. Okay, just a second. I'll find my.
Front page,
Is it on the front page?
right under our mission statement or our
Okay. Well, let's.
there.
It's on. Go ahead, Juanita.
Juanita is correct. It's on the website. when you open up, it's just right below.
Very good,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
I just wanted our members to be able to hear that and know where to go to see it.
Thank you for your report. Okay. Broadband Ad Hoc Committee, Director Rosa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Broadband Ad Hoc Committee, we met May 8th, plus there was a couple other meetings in there. I want to give a special thanks to the staff, Mr. Paul Ortiz, Mr. Robert Carroll, and Broadband Group for tremendous work that they've done for us in providing the information that we've been getting. And our next meeting is probably going to be early July. We don't have a specific date, but that's what we're forecasting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Director Skillman with the Mobilities and Vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on May 15th, and the main things that I wanted to bring out were that, as usual, Director Carroll from VMS gives reports on the usage of our transportation program, our fixed route, our journey, and our boost program. We have pop-up booths at different places that he also talked about, where residents can go by and get bus schedules and talk to people about the buses and get more information. And usually they're at different clubhouses at different times. The pop-up booth really is very informational. We reviewed our mobility and vehicles charter and approved it. I was disappointed it wasn't on the agenda today. I'm sure it will be on the agenda next month. And we also reviewed the senior mobility program flyer from the city of Laguna Woods and the services that they offer, which are varied and kind of supplement what we have here in the village. So it doesn't take the place of, but it does help supplement the village. And our next meeting is coming up on August 7th, 1:30 here in the boardroom.
Okay. Thank you. Looks like you're up again, Director Skillman, Security and Community Access.
This is my little niche here. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to mention at the reception desk, on request, they'll give you a routes, all 4 routes of our bus system.
Oh, yeah, the information is
It's right there.
available. Yeah, thank you.
If you need a paper thing, that's what I'm talking about.
People need to look and see. Okay, Security and Community Access Committee, we did not meet in May. We met in April, and I reported on that at our last board meeting. And the main thing is that we're still looking for our traffic rules and regulations, which right now are with compliance.
Okay. Good.
Fixing them up for us, make sure all the whereases are in the right place and all of our language is correct, et cetera. So that's coming up. And we also approved an MOU, a method memorandum of understanding with the city of Laguna Woods to allow our security services to use 800 megahertz radios as part of our Orange County countywide coordination system. And we also approved a $1,600 annual fee to pay for that, so that we have that through our security division as well as through the city. And our next meeting will be coming up on June 28th this month at 1:30 p.m. here in the boardroom.
Okay, well, looks like the next.
Next, I think, was traffic hearings.
Do you have a comment, Director Rosa?
Regarding the 800 megahertz radio, are we do we have the equipment?
Yes, we do.
And are we going to be operating under their license? Or do we have to
We're getting our own
obtain
license, and that's what the $1,600 some dollars is to pay for yearly is our license and fee.
I'm just happy to
Thank you.
see this developing,
Yeah,
that we're
really
more
pleased, too.
interconnection with the.
We got a donation of the equipment, but now we have to pay the annual maintenance.
Excellent. Thank you.
And moving on, I think the next three items are Director Skillman. Now you see why
Okay,
we
well.
moved Director Skillman to an alternate in all the other committees.
The village traffic hearings were held May 15th. We had 5 cases before us. And of course, it's all confidential, so I can't speak to any more for that. As always, about 2/3 of them were not stopping at stop signs. And we discuss every time, what can we do to help make people realize they need to stop at our stop signs. The flashing stop signs have not really worked. We're talking, should we increase the fine? If there's a drain on somebody's pocketbook, maybe they would pay more attention to the stop signs. Is there signage or color on the street that we could put on that would help people just be aware that they need to stop? But mostly we just realize that we just have to keep bringing it up and saying, we have stop signs for a reason. You are required to stop at the stop signs, and that's a full stop, not a rolling stop, where you look and say, nobody's coming, so I'm just going to go through. Our next hearing are going to be on June 18th. We meet every month here in the boardroom.
Do we have repeat offenders, or is everybody new?
We've had a few repeat offenders, but mostly it's not repeat offenders. Once they get in and they see that we have videos of what they do, and we monitor it, and we've got good security coverage of it, there's usually not the repeat offenders. Now, we always get people to say, but I saw 6 other people doing it, so therefore I should be able to do it. No. We did away with that when you got out of the sandbox, folks. Just because somebody else does it doesn't mean you can do it. We have only 3 traffic patrol officers for traffic. They move around the village to different intersections, primarily the 4-way stop intersections, but also others. And they catch what they can, but yes, there are always people who continue to do it. So just because you see somebody else do it does not mean it's permission for you to do it. And then last but not least here, I have the Disaster Preparedness Task Force. And we met on May 28th, and our next meeting is July 30th. The task force is getting ready for a big expo, Disaster Preparedness Expo in September, getting ready for the California Great Shakeout that comes in October. And at this September Expo, we're going to have companies with disaster preparedness products, et cetera, for the residents to look at. We're going to have the shaking trailer, if you will, that you get in and it feels like to go through a 7.5 earthquake. Anyway, I really recommend it to people. There's a lot of interest. The one that we had in March, 300 people showed up. And so I expect a lot more when we have this other one in September with even more things. So I encourage people, we'll keep pushing it here. The only other thing that we had was that we have a contract with Jacob Green Associates. Chief Nunes and I have a meeting with them on Wednesday, tomorrow of this week. And what it is they are working on, under contract, they are working on a plan for the city of Laguna Woods. And so what they're doing is giving us an analysis, a gap analysis of where our plan differs from theirs and what are some of the things that we need to fill in. Basically to eliminate, modify, and refine any systems that we have. We have a very intensive disaster preparedness plan. If any of you have looked, it's huge. It's very involved, and it's very hard to administer or get anybody to know what it is. We're trying to simplify. We're trying to do what we need to do with the city and make sure that we have it. But we're not, the whole thing that we had where we set up all of our clubhouses as reception centers and medical centers and things like that, we're not doing that. We only have a couple of reception centers. And basically we are pushing people to stay in their homes safely. So to that end, we're working on some tabletop exercises for our coordinators, our building coordinators, of which we have very few anymore. And hopefully we can get some more because of that. So it's a continual challenge when you don't have a disaster to keep people involved and interested. You come out with a lot of information, everybody's excited, they want to do it, whatever, and then they don't hear anything for months on end because we don't have a disaster. We've been very fortunate that we have not had a big earthquake down here. We have not had a big flood down here. We have not had the fire down here in many years. So we have not used our coordinators as well as probably they would like us to do. So what we're going to try to do is to keep their interest by having these quarterly tabletop exercises where they pretend we have some sort of a disaster and what would they do, et cetera. Martin?
Can you say something about, like, what is that, the red alert or like the reverse 911? You don't have to get into the whole thing. I just, you know, like people get contacted when through various means, don't they?
We do have a great communication system within the village, and it starts out with our red alert, and everybody should sign up for if they have not. We keep pushing it, and we send it out a couple times a year with your package that you get, and it's on the website, and we've had things on Channel 6 about it. There's lots of information. You sign up with your contact information, particularly your email or your phone. If there is a disaster, you get contacted. And it works with just individual areas. For instance, take one that's there, Gate 14. If there was just something that affected Gate 14, then only Gate 14 would be contacted. So we have the ability, we don't have a siren like they have in some of the Midwest cities, et cetera. But we do have contact by email and by phone if you don't have an email.
For further information, attend the meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Attend the meeting
Okay.
for further information. Thank you. I guess we did have, Juanita, do you want to report on executive hearings? It's very quick. I can report it. If you want.
Oh, okay, well, we just had one.
Yeah, we had one offender.
One offender. And we have hearings coming up on Thursday, but we have no disciplinary offenders this time. All we have are monetary fines that have not been paid.
Okay. And I guess last is the ITAC. Of course, this is the ERP analysis and installment. So we meet every last Friday of the month. It's a closed meeting, and we have. I'm proud to say that we're nearing the end of phase 1, which is kind of like building a foundation to a building. You don't see the results of it, but boy, if you don't build it, the rest of it doesn't work. And so pretty soon, say within a few months, you'll start to see phase 2. As it completes, I think the residents will start to see some of the results of what we've been working on for the last year and a half or two. So next meeting is the last Friday in June. I'm not quite sure.
June
exactly
28th.
June 28th. So that's all I have to say here. Moving items 15, are there any future agenda items? I see smart cards and building E are suggestions here. So maybe,
The charter for mobility and vehicles.
okay, and the charter for?
The mobility and vehicles.
M&V charter.
Okay. M&V charter?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to, this has been a long meeting, we'll move on to director comments. Okay, start with Egon.
I encourage people that have an interest in recreation should come to the CAC meeting. Thank you.
No comment.
Yeah, Director.
Comment.
No, I mean, are you next?
Yeah, no, I said no comment.
Okay, go ahead.
The gentleman who spoke earlier during the open forum talked about, you know, the foundation and the trust, and has there been? He said a lot, and I just wanted to confirm with the committee that it's been fact checked, that what he stated was so. The gentleman who spoke.
There wasn't any
That was
gentleman.
Catherine Freshly who spoke.
That's Catherine Freshly.
Who
I don't think you
wasn't
were here.
but I heard it.
Chris Collins spoke about the
Chris Collins.
foundation.
Anyways, I just wanted to confirm that what he stated were fact checked, and
Well,
it was
if you-
good
okay,
information.
okay.
It was great information.
I'll comment on my time at the end, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Bill?
I have no further comment.
Anita? Chris? Oh.
No comment.
Gan? Go ahead, Gan. Your turn.
I have no comment.
Okay, I have a comment. For those of you who are anticipating running for the boards, please, please, please come to the board meetings you plan to run for. Attend the committees, get acquainted with the governance. Don't come in ignorant. It's very difficult when you're a candidate and they ask you these tough questions. But if you just come to the board meetings and attend a few, like maybe 3 or 5 months worth, it would be helpful. And I know there are lots of people out there with lots of talent, and we really would like to have you on the boards and participating in our governance. Thank you.
Okay. Director Rosa, you raise an interesting question, and when you say fact-checked, you know, if you look at the history book, when you go back and look at the trust, and you start to bring all of this together, along with, by the way, Catherine Freshly, very much, she used to be GRF president, very much involved in the process from a legal all the way up to a practical application. Everything that I have, all the research that I have done, if that's not a fact check, but it certainly corresponds with everything that I've learned, corresponds with everything that she said. And I urge you, sir, and everybody, to get involved in understanding that trust and the bylaws, how it impacts what we do, how we do it, because it's going to become very critical in the next few months. Okay? So you need, again, so I think when you look at, and I was very grateful for both Carol Moore and Director and Catherine Freshly for reminding us, all of us, of the goals and the goal of GRF, and as I'm going to say dictated, but indicated by the trust. Okay, that's what we're doing. And so when everything else starts to fall apart, the trust is the foundation. And we can reinvent this stuff as it goes along, like we want. The foundation remains. And that's what keeps this community together, at least from a governance perspective. So Yeah, it's been fact-checked. If that's-
I'm sorry, I was confused. I thought he asked about the foundation of Laguna Woods Village as opposed to.
We are the Golden Rain Foundation.
No, it was just my confusion.
Yeah.
I misunderstood what the question was about.
Okay.
Well, when people just say the foundation, you don't know which one they're talking about. So that's why.
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment on or add to Jones there, because again, people in the village do not understand our election structure. United and Third will be electing directors in September to take seats in October. GRF will not. We do not elect ours, or the corporate members are the ones who elect us, not the residents. And that doesn't happen until November. So if they're looking on a ballot, well, where's GRF? Where's GRF? You're not going to find it in this first go-around.
Okay. And let me wrap it up. It's been a long meeting. But what I've observed in my time here is that the village tends to react and manage to complaints. And look, there's always, when you have something as large as this village, 12,736 units and 18,000 people, nothing is going to be perfect. And I caution all of us, especially directors, not to manage by the complaints, but manage the complaints. Because if we start to manage by the 5 or 6 or 7% of us who complain, and by the way, I've had complaints too as a resident, then you start to focus on the wrong things. All right? By and large, we do through VMS, we do a ton of things. And just look at the range of things we talked about today, from the television in a fitness room all the way to trying to manage city zoning, not manage it, but adjust to city zoning. This is the range of activities that GRF, you cannot be unprepared in this community and serve on any of the boards. You cannot be, and this is a great community, but the apathy and lack of involvement by qualified resident leaders who are capable of contributing are impacting board behavior, decision-making, and thus the community direction. And you can see it by virtue of what's going on right now with this recall effort, all right? So I just urge anybody that's data-driven, an analytical listener, with an interest to learn, lead, and serve, okay, and without an agenda to fix something, all right? This community needs you. These 4 or 7 board positions on the mutuals, it's critical to have good leadership without an agenda, because the issues that come up may not be on your agenda. And what I find that most people that come in with an agenda end up saying, oh, it's not as bad as I thought. Oh, it's not an issue. It just needs to be tightened up. And then they go on to serve. So I think each one of us had that experience. So I would just urge everybody out there, and I know it's late, everybody out there who has that leadership quality to learn, lead, and serve, to put your name in. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Recessed.
What time would you like to resume closed session?